Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, Josh Mansfield, on this Tuesday, January 28th. Hope everybody is having a great January and start to their 2025. Josh, we're under a month away from the disc golf season now, so we can start to actually build some anticipation. And I'm fired up. We got some Super Bowl people lined up as well. Eagles Chiefs kind of makes me want to stab my own eyes out, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Man, Bills Commanders would have been so much more exciting.
I just wanted the Bills to win so bad.
Man, me too.
I'm so tired of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Brutal, man.
Well, I bleed green at the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, God.
Gosh.
All right, we're going to do something a little different today. We're each going to pick our own topics, and we're going to kind of do a bigger 30-second rule. But it's not really going to be 30 seconds, just we're each bringing up our own topics today, and we will talk about whatever the other person wants to talk about. Because we kind of have, the sponsorship news is starting to calm down a little bit, and we've got some interesting interview stuff coming up in a bit, but today we're just going to kind of catch up on a few things we want to discuss. So Josh, I'll open the floor. You're up.
All right. First thing I want to talk about, Charlie, Disc East. Big convention happening right now. And man, it was... I think
it's done.
Happened this last
done
weekend.
over the
it's
weekend.
done. Yeah. It happened Saturday, Sunday. Man, it was hopping though. I mean, it was a really popular event. And I don't know how it compared to last year, but some of the socials that I was seeing was really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it looked great. A lot of pros there. All the big companies are there. They've turned this into a legit convention that I think is going to become popular and is probably going to keep growing. Climo was there. Mm-hmm. They had a whole backdrop for photos with Kenny. All the U.S. champions lined up there who are in attendance to take a picture together. So Paul and Gannon and Will Schustrick and Climo. Just looks like a lot of fun, and everybody who I saw posting about it said it was a great time.
VIP holders were let in a little early, and I guess the line was all the way around the convention center for the new Balance, the new Simon line disc.
Oh yeah,
and so
I mean that's MVP territory, right? Up there in the Northeast.
Yep. I mean, it was just they did kind of the panning, show the line kind of thing, and it literally just wrapped all the way around to get the Simon disc. So I think an email listener told us that they sold 1 million balances is their estimation.
1 million.
Just so many balances got sold this weekend. I think conventions like this are so good for the sport. It's an opportunity to go and engage in an element that isn't just watching and spectating pro sports. Those people become more invested in having a DGN subscription and watching pros and purchasing Tour Series discs. Conventions get people excited and want to engage in the sport more and more. And so I think this is just such an important part to have.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I think I could see this getting bigger and bigger and having, it become more of an industry conference too, with you have the Expo side, and then you also have people giving talks, because the Pro Tour held something like that. I don't know if Disc East does some stuff like that already. I've not been. But Josh, maybe we're going to have to go sometime.
Yeah, we'll get a booth.
Do a live pod.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
We'll have to think about it. Very cool. All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
New Zealand Tour Down Under. It's cracking. Holland Handley and Jeremy Colling throwing MVP for the first time, win the New Zealand Disc Golf Open. Germ shot his highest rated round since May of 2024 to beat Ezra Robinson to come from behind. He was 2 strokes back and eventually wins in a playoff. He goes first on the playoff hole, Josh, and absolutely parks it in windy, tough conditions. And look, this is not a full field, but Germ beating Ezra Robinson heads up when trailing by a couple strokes with a new bag playing in really heavy wind. I'm super impressed. I think that's awesome.
It's a great.
Is this Germ reinvigoration season?
Listen, he might be invigorated and excited, and maybe we'll see some more top finishes from him. The one thing I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit. I'm sorry to all those
Josh.
Germ fans.
Cold water Josh. Wet blanket Josh.
The course was about 8,500 feet. It is quite short relative to the courses that we're playing on tour these days. There are a couple courses that I think Germ could really come back and do well. That do have, a little bit shorter in nature, but in terms of distance, like I think you stretch that course by 2,000 feet, and Ezra Robinson probably cooks.
Germ also beat out Robert Burridge, Kevin Jones, Luke Humphreys, Aaron Gossage, Braden Sides. So yeah, really solid win for Germ. Holland did beat a couple of really strong players. Emily Weatherman finishes 4 shots back. Sophia Donachie's down there. Juliana Korver, Taylor Chosek. A lot of people getting super excited about what they've seen from Taylor Chosek. The arm is colossal.
Unbelievable.
And you do get a little bit of the like Eliezra vibes where it's like the polish has to get there. I mean, for instance, at this tournament, Chosek finished like 18 shots back. So it's not like we're seeing automatic translation to good golf scores, but the excitement is reasonable because you can see the raw skill on display, especially on like longer courses. She could genuinely be competitive on tour.
Josick was like a D1 athlete as well, right?
Yes.
At Oregon, disciplined, understands the athletic side of what touring is going to involve. I really do think she has a high ceiling, and we could, by the end of the season, really see her start to kind of accelerate in her career. Did get signed by Discraft and got is bumped up to the second tier, whatever that is.
Yeah, so she was a heptathlete at University of Oregon. Like, it is not being a track athlete at the University of Oregon means that not only are you a D1 athlete, you're an absolute beast.
Yes,
like that is like the track and field university.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting.
I mean, this is a case of like a real athlete coming over to play disc golf.
Yes.
Right. Like not I played high school baseball. I went to D2 and then I decided to pick disc golf up. Like, no. Like this is an athlete who was the top of her sport.
Right. That's going to be pretty hype to see what happens.
Agreed.
All right. Josh, you're up.
Yeah. Speaking of college athletics, Charlie.
Okay.
Emporia State University.
Rarely said on the Upshot.
Emporia State University now has a new sponsor. The team, coached by Eric McCabe, will be throwing or be sponsored by Innova Discs this year.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's not a great look. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of speculation about, like, what does this mean about Eric McCabe? Like, is he gone? That is not, that's not the case. I don't know where he said this, but I saw online somewhere that he basically said this was the decision of the team, and so they went that way instead of sticking with DD, as you would of course imagine, that being in Emporia. Look, I think this is the kind of thing that like feels like it takes on a higher significance because of all of the tumult with House of Discs and DD in particular. Do I think this actually means all that much in the grand scheme of things? I don't.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you're right that it is amplified by the tumult of House of Discs, but the issue is you just can't keep taking cell phones like this when you're already down, right? Like,
but does anybody actually care about this besides the like PR hit that they take for like 2 days in the news cycle?
The issue is like DD and Emporia used to be like synonymous, and I think every chip away at that, like, that undermines Brusco's ability at Champions Landing in order to try and reinvigorate it. It undermines, the idea that people want to go to Emporia because they're right next to a manufacturer who supports an amazing disc golf team, right? Like, it just changes the way DD feels, and that's been changing, and so it just, like, I don't know how much the Innova's giving them. I can't imagine it's so significantly more. I don't know. It feels like you just got to quit taking L's and stay out of the news for a while if you're DD right now. But
I definitely hear you.
You're right. It probably, like, again, we probably won't care about this again in a month, right? It'll be gone. But
my guess is they were like, we don't want to spend money on this thing that is yielding us zero return.
Sure.
Right?
The problem, here's the problem. You can't, eventually, I don't know if I buy the idea that all of these things in culmination yield zero return. Sure, you can pick a pro and say, yeah, this pro isn't really returning as much. Yeah, this college disc golf team isn't returning as much. Yeah, the DDO isn't returning as that much. And just start cutting things. But eventually, those things are going to add up. And it creates an image that will hurt your sales.
Gotcha.
That's my thought.
McCabe, I found it. It was in the comments on the Innova post.
Okay.
Just to clarify, he said, I'm still employed at Dynamic as their course designer / product manager and bleed Dynamic. This decision was made solely by the team. So,
yeah,
there you go.
I didn't read too much into the McCabe side.
They had to know how it was going to look, right?
Yes.
They had to know people were going to, and it's just like the incursions, you know? It's like,
Right.
It's like Discraft taking Climo. It's
Right.
like, we're taking your market share. We're taking like a mind connection to...
You have a town of 24,000 people. Half
Yeah.
of, a quarter of them are college students, and we're going to own that disc golf team.
Yeah. All right.
What you got
Let's
for
see.
me
Is it
next?
me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, I got this one coming over from Reddit r disc golf.
Okay.
I'll pop it up on the YouTube. I'll of course explain it for the all the audio listeners that we have. So at Wags DG scraped the PDGA page for all the Disc Golf Pro Tour payouts. Now, of course, if you listen to this pod, you know we do our purse watch every single week. So none of this purse information is specifically new, but it's cool to kind of see it all in one place, along with the top 10 earners on the Pro Tour this season. Total payout at DGPT events and majors in 2024, $3.2 million. In aggregate, it's like, wow, that's kind of a lot.
That's a lot of money.
You know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now, I don't know like how much higher that is than the buy-ins, right?
Sure.
It's probably about, I'm guessing the buy-ins around 2 million.
That's
something like that.
Still pretty nice.
That's just my gut
60-ish percent.
Obviously we could do the math, but
yeah.
DGPT Championship course coming in number 1, World's number 2. Then Champions Cup, 145,000, number 3, just ahead of Ledgestone. USDGC next, and then the DGPT playoff events, and then kind of down the board. Noticeably lower payouts over in Europe, with the silver events in Europe lower still. Mm-hmm. Of course, we know Gannon crossing the 200,000 mark in earnings this season on tour. Number 2 was Rick. No surprise there. Can you guess number 3, Josh?
Number 3, give me... Oh, man, it feels so cheap, but I'm just going to say Calvin.
Calvin is number 5.
Okay.
Only a few thousand behind number 3. Number 3, Missy Gannon at 104,150. She beat out Kristen for top earnings on the season. Kristen, $3 shy of 100K. Then Calvin, kind of a step down to Niklas Antila at 84K, AB at 82K, Owen Scoggins at 82K, Isaac Robinson, 80,000, almost 81, and then Evelina Salonen, world champ, at 74K to be number 10 on the list.
Props to Nicholas. Like, AB getting 4 wins bumps up money a lot, but that means Nicholas was consistent.
Also, like, if you are a top level player in the FPO division, you are making generally comparable money to the top MPO players.
When you asked me who third was, I literally was only thinking MPO. I
don't blame you.
MPO player.
I don't blame you. But like with match payouts at the Tour Championship,
mm-hmm.
with pretty close payouts at like the majors, including, don't forget, the women have their own major extra.
Correct.
So that's like a bonus event that helps them top up. Plus Throw Pink, which I guess, that's lower payouts in general than USDGC. But yeah, I think pretty cool to see. So six MPO players in the top 10 for FPO.
Yeah. Grabbing something along this lines, talking about money, Rob sent in an email that was talking, and this kind of comes on the heels of Stacey Ronsley making an announcement, being the next pro to announce that she will not be touring full time again, and is going to be stepping away from the tour. One of a handful of pros that have made that announcement this year. And Charlie, we talked a lot about the concern that we had for the payout if pros decided that it wasn't financially viable to continue on tour. Rob provides us an email that I'm just going to paraphrase. He says that there are countless local and regional pros in these areas that are holding DGPT events who will come and replace the 1010 to 1020 crew who might be 990 to 1000 rated, who are going to fill in the ranks, eager for an opportunity to come play on a pro tour event. And while they may only play one pro tour event all season long, they will make a trip from even hours away to come do so. And that is going to keep and stabilize cash numbers for the touring pros. And so if anything, it's actually going to provide kind of a boost because the touring pros are more likely to cash. The bottom 25% may not be competing with nearly as many people. But their cash numbers probably shouldn't change too much. I think it's pretty insightful. I appreciated the email, Rob.
I agree. I mean, I think we've heard people complain that it's gotten too hard to get into pro tour events.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a supply or there's not a demand problem, at least for now, right? I think it also just feels more notable this season because we're talking about a lot of players having step downs in sponsorship or having a harder time finding sponsorship. And so then you look at these people who are leaving and you're like, whoa. I think there's been some stoking of the flames in terms of the narrative there. But in reality, I don't think you're going to notice the handful of players who don't tour anymore. Like they're not players who are finishing in the top 10 ever. Like that's why they're not getting a sponsorship. That's why they're struggling. That's why they're not going to be on tour. This happens every year. It's just more noticeable this year because of how much an increase in touring players that we've seen.
Yep.
And just the general industry shakiness at the moment.
The one thing that's going to be interesting is with those pros, some pros who are pros that can finish in the top 20, who are struggling to obtain sponsorship deals or are taking less sponsorship money, cashing becomes all the more important for those pros. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that plays out with some of those, never finishing in the top 20s in terms of bottom cash and the importance that that's going to play.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got some sponsorship news for you.
Okay,
we're getting down to the final bits and pieces here. We'll start with this. Stacey Ronsley, as noted, dropping off tour.
Yep.
But we've got Nathan Queen signs with Infinite. We were wondering what happened with him. I mean, Infinite is the obvious landing place for anybody who's having a hard time getting a sponsor, I think. I don't we gotta have them on and talk a little bit about their strategy here because I can't imagine they're paying big salaries to these players. I think this is primarily a royalties driven sponsorship setup. And you're guaranteed to get some cool stamps and stuff on discs and you're probably going to do okay. I think that's why we've seen a lot of players do it. And of course you get to have an open bag, which I think most players, if they had the option, would choose to throw the discs they want rather than the discs of their sponsor.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense for Infinite. I really think it's if they're not giving big salaries, what a way to recession-proof themselves relative to other companies. If they just have lots of cool stamps with lots of different players, and Nathan Queen, he's probably not the most popular player in the world, but I guarantee he's got a following that's going to go purchase his discs, who purchased them forever from Innova, and Infinite has basically a stable Wraith clone. Bet you that's where Nathan Queen's name goes on. Plenty of people are going to go buy that disc. And so it makes a lot of sense. It gives Infinite, make Infinite look good. It makes them look like they're taking care of players. They are, players get an opportunity to sell some of their own plastic. And it's making a lot of sense if it is true that, it isn't really a big salary model.
That's just my gut instinct.
Mine too.
Luke Sampson, no longer with Castoplast. So another exit there. But some more signings. Rebecca Cox is back with Latitude 64. That's a no-brainer. I mean, she had an awesome season, and I think she could be in store for like a tour win this year.
She could be. She can clean that putting up just a little bit.
I mean, and I feel like she did. I feel like the putting looked pretty good at the end of last season. Remember at Throw Pink, the problem was really that she started to get a little squirrely off the tee. Just like, and the pressure shots that you have to be able to execute out there for rounds and rounds and rounds. She was looking fantastic through about 2.5 rounds.
I think it was GMC where she was playing really well, and that's where the putting yips got her.
I mean, like, she's definitely not a historically great putter.
Yeah, it's so. But I think that your point, it's just nerves in general. If she can get it right between her ears, I think she could really she could win an event on tour this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jake Hebenheimer to Prodigy. So Prodigy with a couple of like total value signings, right? They get Gavin Rathbun, Jake Hebenheimer. I think for where Prodigy is right now, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, you know,
and
Charlie,
like they get upside. They always find upside.
They do. Yep. I think all these signings are making a ton of sense. You know, Charlie, I think they need to quit pinching pennies in their social media editor, though. They made their team announcements and kind of put them on socials. Chantel Budinsky. They switched the S and the K in her name. And it's like, come on, guys. It's same thing with DD and Emporia State University. Are we going to remember this in a month? No. Given the current attitudes, you really should quit doing mistakes like this.
Ella Hansen, 2-year re-signing at Discmania, boosted to the Sky team. Again, no brainer here.
No brainer.
Great fit for everybody involved.
Ella's one that I think punches above her weight class in terms of tournament performance. She's very good at tournaments, but I really think she has a popular social media. She is well liked by people, and I think Ella is just such an excellent fit at Discmania.
Won the OTB Open this year. Recall that?
Yep.
Lots of top 10 finishes.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Still feels like she's got some holes in her game a little bit, but it's going to be a threat to win on any long course.
Agreed.
Yessi Niemanen, 3-year extension with Castoplast. So, again, that makes sense. Casta, they've got Joey Buckets. A smaller brand like that, they don't need a lot.
No,
I don't think.
No. And having a player who shows up and wins a DGPT event.
And Joseph Berg is still sponsored by them. And that really is the only thing that I care about. I believe that's it. We are still waiting on Evan Smith.
Yep.
And the resolution to whatever's going on with Ricky.
Right.
So, we'll see. That's got to be coming soon.
You'd think.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we both have some thoughts on Gannon Burr. Stay with us. It's the Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. They just keep pushing the game forward when it comes to bags. You heard last week a little bit about the new redesigned Octothorpe. There's more. You got to check out their social media pages. They've got videos of multiple prototypes. And I thought the most interesting thing, this is a quote from the Facebook page. In order for the Octothorpe to truly evolve, we had to be willing to challenge one of our most deeply held beliefs, that structure in the bottom of the bag was unnecessary and would ultimately lead to discomfort in the lumbar. The problem is that it doesn't always work for people to have no support in the bottom of the bag because they use a cart or they have other reasons that they want to have more structure in the bag. So check this out from Levi Wisingham at Pound, what they're working on. Welcome back to the Upshot. Josh, you are up. Let's keep it rolling.
All right. You highlighted it before the break, Charlie. Gannon Burr. I've just been thinking about this. There is one glaringly obvious omission from Gannon Burr's esteemed resume, which is a world championship, right? Everyone knows it. It's obvious. Gannon knows it for certain. And that is what's missing. And he's going to a world tournament that he won those courses at European Open this year. So, his likelihood, I think it feels great for him. I think it's a great opportunity for him to win it. Isaac Robinson obviously has been his foil for Worlds. And it's funny that, Isaac almost glaringly lacks a lot of other wins, while Gannon has everything except the ones that Isaac wins. Isaac obviously having the Champions Cup, though. Charlie, my question for you. Gannon wins Worlds. And you stop right there. Longevity is obviously typically an important part of Legacy. But if you stop at the end of 2025 season and he has won Worlds, what is his legacy to this point? Or through the end of the season? And what do you project his legacy to be when he finally does retire from disc golf?
So you're saying basically he's done after a Worlds win.
Well, pretend I want both. I want you to imagine a world where Gannon at the end of 2025, he wins Worlds, end of 2025 says, you know what? I had a great time. I'm going to go do X, right? And I'm off.
I'm out.
I'll play regionals, but I'm done. I'm no longer a disc golfer. What is his legacy through this year? But then, obviously, that's not going to happen. I'm very well aware of that, right? If he gets the Worlds, there's no what ifs, there's no buts, there's nothing, there's no qualifiers left. What is Gannon going to retire with his legacy as when he eventually does retire?
Okay. So let's assume that he's just done and that's it.
Yep.
Right. Either he stops playing well or he just leaves tour after winning a Worlds this year. And let's just assume that he has a couple other wins and has a good season.
Yep.
I'm what I'm going through in my mind is whether he's already done enough to be a Hall of Famer. He's got 3 major wins, right? 2 USDGCs.
He's got 4. He's got Champions Cup, 2 USDGCs.
He won a Champions Cup?
Does he have a Champions Cup? I thought he did.
I don't think so.
Oh, he's missing 2 events then.
I don't think so.
You might be right.
When did he win it?
I don't know. I'm not sure now. I was thinking
because he didn't win it this year.
No,
he didn't win
I was
it last
thinking
year.
Gannon was only missing Worlds, but I think you're right. He's missing Champions Cup as well.
Let me just confirm. He's won a junior title. He's won a couple junior titles. He won USDGC twice. He won European Open.
Okay, he's missing a Champions Cup too.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do think it's possible that you would consider him for the Hall of Fame because his peak was so insanely high. But I don't know. It might not be enough. I think he would end up being, for various reasons, looked at like Will Schustrick. Where it's this person was so good for a run of time. Mm-hmm. And then, man, too bad.
Yeah.
And he's just not been on tour long enough for it to be more than that. Even though he had this incredible season and he's just been, clearly the best player in the world for over 12 months at this point. I think when you look at what I would project his lifetime in disc golf to be, first ballot Hall of Famer in the conversation for the greatest player ever to touch a disc. I know, people are oh, well, he might get hurt or this, that. Somebody else might come up and be better than him. And yeah, okay. Yep. But he is clearly the best player playing disc golf right now in most of 2023, all of 2024, and already to start 2025. So what do I think is going to be his legacy? Obviously he needs to win some Worlds.
Yep.
But he needs 3 or 4 more years of this level of play to be starting to get talked about alongside Macbeth.
How many world championships does he need to compete with Macbeth?
To be GOAT?
Yeah.
I don't think super hard
it's
to
6.
say, but it's. I don't think you even start having the conversation before 3.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I think 3 to 4 is when you can start. Now, obviously, it's the level of play around those worlds.
Well, right, that's what I mean. Like,
right.
when you project forward and like how competitive the sport's going to become, it may just get that much harder to win a Worlds.
But to your point, if Gannon does what he did last season, multiple years, but does not get a Worlds, he will not. He doesn't get to pass Macbeth.
Probably not.
I think it takes.
Let's say he had like 5 straight more seasons of what he did last year. I mean, he will definitely be talked about as one of the greatest ever, but if you can't win the Worlds, then you cannot be considered the GOAT.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Agreed.
But it's super crazy that we're even like having like the fact that we're saying the word GOAT. It obviously is not there yet, but like it's obvious that he has the potential to get there.
Yep.
I also got something about Gannon for you.
Okay.
He mentioned on Smashbox that he will be playing at the World Games.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so fired up by this, Josh.
That's incredible news.
Okay, so everybody, I'm going to keep talking about it because nobody knows what's going on because it's disc golf and it's not a tour thing, and the Pro Tour, I don't know how much they're going to like give media to this. So I will just keep beating the drum so everybody understands. World Games is the Olympics for non-Olympic sports.
Yep.
It's the first time disc golf's been in since 2001. So we're almost 25 years later, disc golf is back. This is the highest international competition, like multi-sport, Olympic style, that disc sports gets to be a part of. Maybe someday we'll be in the Olympics. We can all hope and dream. I'm very skeptical. But disc golf has the opportunity, if it keeps growing the way that it's been growing, to get some interest there. So Gannon has said he is going to go. He is going to play. And this basically tells me like he could be the tipping piece to get all the other top countries to send their best players. So the way it works, it's country based. I think it's doubles, like one MPO, one FPO play representing their country. So can we get Kristen and who's the top Estonian? I feel like I do this every time. Probably Tom.
Yeah, Albert Tom.
So let's say it's those two, or even Silver and Kristen,
sure,
which would be fun too.
Yeah.
And you name it, like the top 2 Finns, Niklas and Evelina.
Great.
Like if we can get these countries and really these players to commit to going to China for 3 or 4 days in the middle of the season after the European swing, we could have just this amazing country-based competition that really feels like it has stakes. And so Gannon saying yes is just like so massive. I'm extremely excited.
Yeah. Huge deal. Huge deal. We will continue to beat this drum.
We will. I am working to confirm who the FPO US person would be. I believe it just goes in the order of the like rankings.
Sure.
So whatever the PDGA World rankings are right now,
which
official disc golf world rankings. I haven't looked in a while. Owen Scoggins would be the first person on the list, then Holland, then Missy. That's assuming that they do it off of this. I don't know what their ranking criteria is, but those would be, any of those players would be a tremendous partner for Gannon.
Yeah, that would be.
What you got?
All right. This one's quick.
Okay.
I don't want to beat the horse, but Jack deserves credit because he put a one-liner in here that just had me laughing out loud. So Jack says the case for the 10-meter circle. Paraphrasing, it's easy to estimate where 33 feet is. It's really difficult to estimate where 66 feet is. And so for local events, that becomes very difficult because most of your courses are not going to just mark circle 2s. Not a problem for the Pro Tour, obviously, but more difficult for local events. And he says at the end, if you get your way and I have to watch my local MA3 peers argue over a 64-foot step putt, I will hold you personally accountable. Here's the thing, Jack. Let your MA3 peers step putt from 64 feet. The difference in advantage that comes from getting a step putt from that different distance does not make a huge difference. Step putting from 30 feet is a massive difference. And so guess what? I don't care. If people want to step putt at 60 feet, I'm not going to call them on it. I'm not going to argue with them. I don't care. As long as they're far enough out that I know they're putting and I know they've got no shot at hitting that basket, then whatever, step putt all you want. That's my solution for you. We're still on the 20-meter circle, but it's a great one-liner at the end.
Listen, this gets to an email that's coming up, so I'll just read it. This one comes from Brad. He sent in 3 ideas. You can always reach us at upshot@ultiworld.com. He has 3 ideas, and the first one really gets to the thing that I care about. He says, separate the amateur and professional rules.
Yep.
The Amateur Disc Golf Association would govern B tiers and below, with rules like Circle 1 and step putting different than the PDGA, which would govern A tiers and the Pro Tour, where tour players could have more of a say in the rules they play by. So I don't even think you need to do this, right? The PDGA can simply say, we have these rules for all tournaments, except Pro Tour and major, like MPO and FPO majors, where we have these rules. Like, this is so simple. We don't need to overthink it here. Like, just make the changes you need to make for professional play. See what sticks. See what, like, you almost can experiment at the highest level with something like a circle change, and then maybe you bring it down, because a lot of people have made the reasonable case that it's very difficult to visually assess the distance from a edge of circle 2. Like, you can eyeball 33 feet, but eyeballing 66 feet is pretty tough. I agree. And people are like, well, there's no way they're going to flag out C2 at these tournaments. Yeah, I think if it's not an A tier, you're probably right.
Yep.
So if you just want to simply have a different rule set for that level, that's fine. We need to stop pretending that the pros need the same thing as literally everybody else. I'm including A tiers in that conversation. Like, the players at the top are playing a different sport than the rest of us.
Justice for hole 16.
Number 2, Quid Glitch. A blend of ultimate frisbee and disc golf with 3 baskets on either end of the football field, 1 elevated, circles like C1, C2, C3, and C4 being different point values and played with almost the same rules as ultimate. Obviously stealing the look and name from Quidditch.
Listen,
let's keep that one in the AI generated art department.
The idea of playing ultimate but like aiming for a target instead, I don't know if that's a thing. But like that sounds kind of fun. But please, it would be fun. It would be fun. It would be fun. I can't believe you typed that name out,
which is just like a way worse basketball.
Sure. I can't believe you typed that name out and thought, "Yep, this is it." The name needs workshopped.
Okay, number 3, Climocast. Ken doesn't want to live out of a suitcase 26 weeks of the year, no problem. Set him up with a studio in his home office to go live audio. Doesn't even have to be on camera. Where DGN users can select an alternate audio feed a la Manningcast. What say you, Josh?
They've done these alternate casts. I was excited and intrigued by them. I tried them. I was not... It's fallen a little flat for me. I think that they just need to accept and allow, they need to find and hire the best commentators, set them up on home studios, and let them be the commentators from wherever they live. Yes, set Climo up with a home studio, but just let him commentate the mainstream.
I will say, I don't know the whole details, but I know that the Pro Tour is planning to do more off-site commentary this year.
Good.
Because my commentary will basically, I don't want to say too much, but I will not be going to tournaments. I'll be traveling, but not going to tournaments.
I think off-site commentary is
maybe with the exception of USDGC Throw Pink.
In order to get the best level commentary, you need to be able to pay people to just do commentary as their full-time job, and that is going to require the opportunity for them to not have to be in every pro stop.
I will say, having commentated remotely with a partner also remote is hard.
I believe it.
I did that a bunch with Brian and Juliana early on of the Silvers, commentating from home. I really did not care for it. Being together with the partner makes a big difference. But frankly, whether you're at home or you're at the course, from a commentating perspective, makes basically no difference. From the round.
So you just need to get them together.
I'm looking at a monitor either way.
Yeah.
So it's not. There is still, in my opinion, value for the commentators being on site. You can chat with players. You can bring interviews into the booth.
Sure.
You can kind of like go and feel the energy of this tournament and like have more knowledge because you can go talk to somebody about something versus being remote. But I can definitely understand it's like a lot more of a logistical lift for them to set it all up. And like, is it worth the extra money that it costs for hotels and all that stuff? Probably not.
Not right now. Maybe eventually, but
anyway, Climocast, listen, filling 4.5 hours, let's just say, 3.5 to 4 hours for a disc golf round, it takes a lot. You
Tough
need
lift.
somebody who's hosting. You can't just Climo can't just go on there and rap for 4 hours. I just don't think anybody could really do that solo.
Yeah.
So you could set him up with somebody who's like more of a play-by-play type host. Sure. I think some people would be into that. But
I'd rather
again,
just have him on
alternate
mainstream.
commentary, like if it's costing the Pro Tour money, there's no way they're doing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in the current market.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it.
I think so.
Great stuff. I bet we're going to have some more news to talk about on Thursday because I'm feeling that we're going to get something's going to happen here that's going to make us go, okay, there it is.
There it is.
We will find out soon. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhuth saying so long from today's edition of the Upshot. We'll be back with you Thursday. Talk to you then.